I taught my bird to whistle like a referee. I can make a free throw when I'm down on one knee. I've been a fan of basketball since I was 5. Now I am a fan of HoopSpeak Live. Hilarious analysis, a mystifying trope. An angel with a cudgel breaking bubbles of soap. Like honeybees buzzing around a hive. Everybody buzzing about HoopSpeak Live.
Hey, welcome to HoopSpeak Live. I'm your host, Beckley Mason. Got a great show for you today. Internet celebrity Ethan Sherwood-Strauss will be with us. He wrote a fantastic piece that finally went up today. Of course, our other co-host, Zach Harper, with us, who let's celebrate him in some way. Our guest today will be Seth Rosenthal from Posting and Toasting, one of the very best team sites on the internet. But to start, let's talk about Ethan's piece today about the mysterious sixth man who wandered on court in a Rockets Sonics Game 7 from 93-94. Describe the feeling of just like seeing that happen, Ethan.
When I first saw it, I was really interested in Hakeem Olajuwon. That was the principal thing, and I wanted to examine, was Hakeem clutch, even though I don't even know if I believe in clutch, just because when we think of Hakeem, we don't think of anything before 1994 and 1995, which happened after he was 30 years old, which is kind of amazing to me that his entire legacy is completely framed by something that was past what should be his prime. So, yeah, it's the Elway effect. So I was just analyzing that last play and watching it over and over again, you know, on NBA Classics and rewinding. And it's funny, I didn't think that this was something for an article to be written about. This wasn't, I didn't look at it that way, and I just asked Henry Abbott, you know, who was this guy? Do you know anything about him? For my own curiosity, and Henry actually thought it should be a piece, and it just shows that perhaps he has better editing instincts, and he's been at it longer than I am. And it also makes me wonder just how many good ideas am I and maybe all of us just not even seeing, and instead just swimming around the old Twitter stream and not doing anything but making musings. So now I'm paranoid that I'm missing stuff all over, even though I'm happy that people read it.
Yeah, you emailed me or you like G-chatted me. I remember I was home and you were like, okay, I need you to watch this video. And you made me, this is the funniest part, you made me watch it with you on Skype so you could see my face as I got the reaction. And you're like, no, rewind. Watch in the corner. Rewind. And I was like, whoa, holy shit. And you got some enjoyment. Hello? Guys hear me?
Uh-oh. Beckley?
Hello?
Hello?
Can
Hello?
you hear me?
There we go.
There we go. There you go.
I didn't get the Skype treatment from Ethan, but I did get a G-chat of, oh my God, I think I've uncovered this incredible, like, second gunman on a grassy knoll. It's actually a sixth gunman.
That's what Henry made me feel that way about it. Henry had to talk me into feeling that way about it. I didn't feel that way the first time. I was just like, whoa, cool. And then Henry was like, this is a mystery. And when you find a mystery, you don't let a mystery go.
And I want to, like, before the show, you didn't want to, or you weren't sure about bringing it up because you're like, oh, they might pick apart the video if he wasn't really out there. He was just excited. No, he's in mid-range jumper, like Rip Hamilton territory. There's no mistaking like where this guy was. He wasn't on the baseline. He's spotting up for a jumper.
Yeah. It's an odd thing to do, and it's odd that he didn't know about it. And then 19 years later, none of his friends had seen it or mentioned it to him. He just had absolutely no clue. And that's what I think is the funniest thing to me is that for 19 years, George Karl knows exactly what this bizarre act that this man did. He was sober. He wasn't drunk. He had all his faculties at a moment of his life that he remembers clearly. He remembers that moment of his life quite well, Winston Garland does. Game 7 overtime of the Western Conference semifinals, but he doesn't remember what he actually did. He doesn't remember what his legs were doing, and George Karl completely knows about it. And so for 2 decades, they've just had, different knowledge of an event that they both experienced. Only the man who did something weird doesn't know about it. He has no idea. So that's what I thought was funny about it. I didn't expect anyone to read it. That's not like, I'm really happy that some people read it today, because generally I expect like Heat Lakers, that's going to get read. I think we all have these expectations when we write things, and we try to kind of brace ourselves for not a lot of people reading something, and sometimes we don't calm our own selves down a little bit, and we expect a lot of people to read something that we have. And this was a case where it far exceeded my expectations. I figured like writing about 1993 Sonics Rockets, I didn't think anybody would read this at all. I was like, okay, Henry, well, if you say so, we're gonna try.
I think if I had to pick one player in today's game who would definitely be a 6-man spot up on the court, it would be Tony Douglas. I think Tony Douglas would run out there thinking he could make the shot and be angry that he was open and didn't get the ball passed to him.
I feel like J.R. Smith, when he's 35, if he's still in the league, I could see that happening with J.R. Smith.
Yeah, it was very awesome. And all right, so now that we've talked about that, go check it out. Go look at his post on TrueHoop. We have a very interesting Take the Bacon coming up here, which I'm gonna bring on screen right now. And right, get points, receive bacon. Ethan, you are the Roman senator. We are the gladiators. You will be the judge.
Yes,
who wins and who loses this epic bout? What's the question?
Well, the question is, who is a better player when we talk about top 3 or top 2 players, Chris Paul or Kevin Durant? And I just want you guys to know ahead of time, I've chosen Chris Paul, and that's how you can win this game, is just by going with Chris Paul. And if you want to sell out however you feel about it and go against intellectual honesty, you can have an easy victory. Or if you happen to feel that way, all the better.
Zach, would you like to start it off?
I would actually like to defer to you. I will take the opposite of whatever direction you go.
All right.
That's how confident I feel.
Okay. I think the better player is Kevin Durant, because he's taller, he's younger, his legs are skinnier, and he's better at shooting. What do you got?
Well, I know I could take the easy way out and take Chris Paul here, but I'm going to side with you and go with Kevin Durant. Because all I ever hear about from Ethan is wingspan, wingspan, wingspan. And Kevin Durant has the wingspan of 2 Chris Pauls. It's unending. And Kevin Durant is the best scorer in the league, the most impactful scorer in the league. He's a pretty decent defender now. He can rebound a little bit. He's a better passer than he used to be. And Chris Paul, I just worry about that balky knee. I don't really, but we've got 2 Kevin Durants to your 1 Chris Paul vote, Ethan. I want to see you get around that.
Yeah, maybe if
Okay, I will say this. I think there's a fine case to be made.
Sorry,
There's a fine case to be made for Kevin Durant. But at the same time, and we can say it's because of what Kevin Durant did in the playoffs, because Paul got hurt in that series against the Spurs, and he really wasn't that good, and Durant had a very good playoffs. But Kevin Durant got the 2nd most MVP votes, I believe. We might check that. Fact checkers, get on that. To Chris Paul's, which is strange because Chris Paul, statistically, for any catch-all stat you want to look at, beat Kevin Durant out. He had a better PER. He had a better win shares per 48, better total win shares. I haven't checked WP, Dre, but I am going to guess that Chris Paul beat out Kevin Durant that way. You can tell me yes or no, but I think that's the case. So he's really killing Durant statistically, and not only that, he added 18 wins from where the Clippers were last year. So if we're just considering the regular season stats, it seems that Chris Paul trounces him across the board, and it's odd that there isn't much momentum to consider him a better player.
Yeah, I think Chris Paul is there. I was just in this to mess with you, but I think what's really interesting about Paul is that he outpaced Durant in PER with without being a rebounder, right? So that's something that or I guess rebounding isn't factored into PER as much, but he's not like PER generally tilts towards big men, so it's rare for a point guard to have a really high efficiency rating that way. And what I think is amazing about him is that he really didn't seem to be. I mean, watching him this preseason, I think he looks more explosive and a little quicker than he did last year. And I think that, top end potential, Durant is above him because he has this sort of game-changing defensive ability with his incredible wingspan and size and his ability to cover the court. And as much as Chris Paul does at the point of attack and getting his hands on steals and rotating, I don't see him as the same sort of trolling force that he is on offense. But it would be interesting to see Kevin Durant play, a little more on the ball this year, and it perception of his kind of ability change based on how the Thunder end up using him, regardless of whether or not his stats fluctuate.
Real quickly, I do agree with you that Chris Paul does seem quite spry this preseason. One example, last night, he's crashing into the post, trying to block big men a couple of times last night. You didn't see that from Chris Paul the last couple of years. And I think it's gotten his trash-talking game up a lot more.
Yeah.
He was really, really giving it to Jeremy Tyler after a technical foul last night. It was quite amusing. He's going after all the young guys. He's like the Kevin Garnett of point guards right now.
Jeremy Tyler's a little fragile, too, in that respect. Not saying fragile psychologically, but he's a young guy. I remember Jeremy Tyler, I don't know if I'm talking out of school here, in the Warriors locker room, he hawked a loogie into the trash. And I was like, what, you just hawked a loogie in front of everybody? And a teammate laughed at him, and he looked really like, oh. He like hung his head in shame and walked away. And he just looked very, and I thought, oh my God. I mean, last year, it's like, this is a 19-year-old kid. I forgot about that. I didn't know I had the potential to bully, an athlete. I had no idea. So I feel really scared for Jeremy if he's getting ripped into by Chris Paul. That could be a problem. I hope he's okay.
Now, Chris Paul has a very domineering personality, and so it doesn't surprise me that he'd be able to do that with Jeremy. I mean, you see him like go after Pau Gasol. He's going to go after Jeremy Tyler. All right, let's bring on our guest today. Very excited to have him back on the show from Postin' and Toastin', SB Nation's Knicks blog. It is Seth Rosenthal.
Hi, guys. How's everybody doing?
Great. So you have an interesting team that you root for and love and cover. It seems like there's an atmosphere of inevitable death surrounding this team right now. Why so glum? Is this going to be? Is it going to be possible to enjoy this season from a Knicks perspective?
Oh, not from a Nets perspective. Of course, it's impossible to enjoy the Knicks because the Knicks. Even when the Knicks have everything go wrong and everything falls apart and they're just, everyone's laughing at them, they're still the Knicks and they're still funny. And so, I managed to wring enjoyment out of like the Howard Isley years. So I think I'll do all right with this current team. But I'm not, the preseason has been kind of rough for them, especially the last couple of games. But I'm not in any way down on the prospects for this year's team, despite how everyone else might feel.
What are the prospects for this year's team?
Well, as I was telling someone yesterday, they were on pace to be like a 50-win team last year, like a 48, 49-win team. And I think they've improved. I think they actually have a decent rotation of point guards now. I think they got better in the front court with Marcus Camby if he can ever stand up, right? And so I think with those things combined, those were two of the major weaknesses. And so I think they should be a 50-plus win team, maybe.
Wow.
I'm one.
See, that doesn't even sound ridiculous to me. Like,
it
why
doesn't
not?
sound ridiculous. It's one of those things where if they're healthy, then I would expect that. But I just don't know if you necessarily get a second clean bill of health year from Tyson Chandler. I'm wondering how do you feel about this whole kind of little battle that started between Nets fans and Knicks fans and the idea of going over to Brooklyn? I just see on Twitter all the time angry Knicks fans like telling people like, well, no, I'm not going to Brooklyn. Why don't you go to Brooklyn? I'm staying right here. It's just very emotional. I just want your take on this new intra-city rivalry.
Well, I don't know that I'm an authority on it because one, I don't live in the area, and two, I just don't care at all. But I would say that Knicks fans. The term Knicks fan describes a whole range of types of people, but there's definitely a subset of Knicks fans who have arrogance that exceeds the quality of the Knicks. And Knicks fans are very passionate, and we tend to get ourselves worked up and confident about the team every year. On the flip side, Nets fans are really excited. They feel like they've been marginalized for years, which has been the case. Even when they were a better team than the Knicks for a while. And they're really excited about Brooklyn. And I think part of the marketing campaign that the Nets themselves have brought out is, that they're going to take over New York and be the bigger team. And so, I don't know, a lot of stock gets put into things like billboards and, which celebrities are fans of which team. And yeah, I mean, some of that stuff, some of the excitement from like the New York culture is shifting toward the Nets, and I think that gets some Nets fans really excited, and I think it makes some Knicks fans feel jilted for some reason. But to me, I mean, the problem with the Knicks has never been that they had too much attention. Never an issue. So I don't know. I hope it becomes a rivalry. I hope both teams are good. I hate the Nets. I mean, I'm not denying that. I really don't like the Nets. I have nothing against Nets fans as long as they're kind individuals. But yeah, I mean, it's getting blown up a lot. I hope the basketball actually matches all the excitement that's gone on during the offseason.
Are you excited to like have a new? I mean, I guess they were sort of a rival of the Knicks before, but having that Nets, it's such a close proximity, and now the two fan bases are going to be on each other even more constantly. Is that fun for at least covering them, especially in an age of social media where you have so much interaction? Or is that just like a daunting, like, oh, I'm going to go to hell quicker this way?
Yeah, no, I gotta be honest, I think of it as kind of daunting. I don't know. I don't relish that like inter-fan rivalry that much. And again, like I've considered the Nets a rival even when both teams were terrible for a long time. I look forward to Knicks-Nets games, and I want the Knicks to beat the Nets more than I want them to beat other teams. And that was the case, last season when the Nets were terrible. Just because that's how I feel about the Nets. Maybe it's because I grew up in New Jersey. But yeah, the back and forth possibilities, the amount of extra moderation I'm going to have to do on my own blog. I'm not really looking forward to that, I'll be honest.
Seth, do you okay? So when someone like Sheed comes on team and you're going to the practices,
someone like Sheed?
Yeah. When Sheed, let me rephrase.
There was only one Sheed
comes onto the team, and you
there is no Sheed but
go to
Sheed.
practice, and as a fan of the team, maybe of the team's basketball prospects, you're like, well, why is this guy here? But as a fan of the team and like just being a fan of goofiness, he is exciting. Like, how do you balance in your mind wanting the team to succeed and wanting the team to be likable and fun to follow?
Yeah. I feel every which way about the Rasheed Wallace stuff. I mean, the fact that the guy's not even in shape he can't scrimmage yet, let alone play in a game. He practiced today. He ran drills, but he couldn't even play, I think, from the sound of things, in a half-court game situation. So that, that doesn't seem like excellent planning for a basketball season. That doesn't seem like the signing you want to be making. At the same time, I don't know, I got to go to a few practices during training camp, and I got a sense for the value that someone like Rasheed Wallace could have, even as someone who isn't in good enough shape to practice playing basketball. Like, he does have this sort of, I know that sounds ridiculous, but he does have the sort of rapport with his teammates, and including the veteran guys, where I don't know. I feel like someone like Melo, someone like Amari, Melo in particular, would be willing to solicit advice or just outrage from Rasheed Wallace that he might not, that might sort of fall on deaf ears if it came from the coaching staff. Because Rasheed Wallace is Rasheed Wallace, and the players sort of revere him as much as we do, and he is trying to have that kind of influence in practice. He's talking to the younger guys. He's just yelling at people, just yelling for the sake of yelling sometimes because he likes to shout. Yeah, I mean, what I'm describing is like a good assistant coach. You don't necessarily have to sign that man to your 15-man roster, but yeah, I mean, I'm having trouble gauging how much he has to offer basketball-wise right now, whether it's now or in the playoffs, which is something people keep bringing up. Like, well, he'll really matter once the postseason comes around, which doesn't really make sense to me. But I mean, it's been great just to read about him and just to have a chance to see him and whatever. He's a funny guy, and he's inconsequential enough. One hopes, barring injuries, that we get to sort of embrace the good part without having to rely on him to do too much basketball-wise.
I can't remember if it was you that tweeted out the picture, if it was someone else, but he was teaching Iman Shumpert how to shoot left-handed threes. Like, is that just a regular Sheedism in practice, or is he just out there yelling at people?
Well, I mean, the days I was at practice, which were a couple weeks ago, it was the very beginning of training camp, he had just signed. For a while, he didn't even show up at practice. And then when he was at practice, he had his jersey on backwards. He was wearing either cut-off sweatpants or a hat for no reason or long sleeves, or just he seems to go out of his way to be rebellious in that respect, which is whatever. But yeah, then he goes around. He was mostly doing all these balancing exercises and stuff. He's working during this, just not playing with the team. And he'll be shooting or whatever, and then he'll just randomly, he'll be overcome with the desire to walk into practice and just start yelling at people. And then because Iman Shumpert's hurt, he sort of became his running mate for a lot of the drills he was doing. And so, yeah, I was standing, everyone else was listening to Mike Woodson talk, and I sort of, got bored or got boxed out of the scrum. And so I turned around to see what Sheed and Shumpert were doing, and Sheed was shooting left-handed threes, which is a thing he's done for decades. That's one of his, secret party trick skills. And then Shumpert was trying it, and he wasn't very good at it. So there was Sheed, I took a picture of it, and I did not, ascribe any additional meaning onto it. What was really happening was Sheed was showing Iman Shumpert how he should be bending his elbow differently to shoot a left-handed three. It was awesome, and that's the kind of stuff he brings. But if Iman Shumpert returns from injury shooting lefty, it's Sheed's fault.
Well, I'm wondering. Well, I'm a Knicks fan. I was a Knicks fan. I grew up a Knicks fan. I grew up loving the Knicks. I don't know if you know that or why you should know that, but I remember Marcus Camby on the team. I was actually at Game 5 when they got eliminated in the finals against the Spurs when I was a kid, and I have those strong memories. And I'm just wondering, when you see Marcus Camby back on the Knicks, is that just this terrifying reminder of your own mortality? That's what it is for me. Or is it just welcoming back an old friend and it's quite pleasant?
I mean, Marcus Camby's been decently healthy the last couple of years. So, when the signing was initially made, I was like, oh no, here come, more injuries. But then again, he played 60 games last year. He's been all right. And he's also been one of the most efficient rebounders on the planet for the last couple of years. And so that, I was thrilled about. I thought they gave up a little too much, but I was thrilled to have him around. And I loved Marcus Camby when he was a Knick, despite the fact that he was, made of something breakable. I was going to say pasta. That was the first thing that came to mind of something that Marcus dried pasta. That's what I was picturing. Yeah. So you have this 7-foot individual made out of pasta who's 38 years old or whatever back on the team. And then he had that calf strain,
10 years.
which has been like the longest. It was like 6 to 10 days, and we're now 15, 16 days into it, and he's still not even ready to practice. So, yes, it's beginning to turn into more of a reminder of my mortality, and a reminder of what those late 90s teams were like, where you just didn't really know who was going to be playing center because everyone was made of pasta. But, if he's healthy, I really think he could be an important part of the team. But as they say, that's a very big if.
Right. Okay, we got a couple audience questions for you before we let you go. This one is from Chris Delgado. Seth, if you could use an animal to describe this Knicks team, what would it be? And I'm reading this to you because we also have a podcast, not because I don't believe you can read the words that are on the screen.
I can't read, so thank you. Well, all right. I'm going to give them an optimistic animal choice. There's a famous lemur in Madagascar called the aye,
Sure.
which you may or may not know about. And if anyone, look it up when we're done. It's AYE, and it's a hideous animal. It's like really ugly. It's nocturnal. It's got gross, grotty gray fur, big scary eyes, and it's got really long, creepy fingers. But it is incredibly effective. It's really smart. It's perfectly evolved to search and to acquire the food it eats, which is like little grubs out of bamboo shoots and whatnot. Yeah, it's ugly. It is a really disgusting looking creature, but it's efficient. It's effective, and it's actually got a lot of charm. And that's best case scenario. The Knicks are a really, really ugly team that pretty much everybody except for me and like 4 other people hate. But ideally, they'll be really great at defense. Melo will be playing his best. Chandler will be whatever, anchoring the middle. Omari will have a comeback here. All that. But pretty much, no matter what, good or bad, they're going to be a really ugly team that at first sight people might really be appalled by.
Nice. That's creative and probably kind of true. Okay, one more quick one before we let you go. From Jared Dubin, this is for you, Seth. If you had to come on a mixtape with Shump, what would your rap name be? Don't try to act like you don't have a rap name picked out.
Yeah.
What's funny is I feel like I made a joke about this like the other day that I came up with a rap name for myself. I like to think of if I had like a topic that I would rap about, it would probably be just like eating weird stuff, like junk food. So I feel like this is already used up on. Actually, never mind. I was gonna say Big Snacks, but that's already Jerome James's nickname. So I'm gonna be Lil Snacks since I'm relatively less of a snack than Jerome James is.
And then when you become very famous, you'll drop the little. You'll just be Snacks. I think that's the move.
Snacks, and then eventually Snacks Lions.
Then X or CKS?
No, I want to spell it properly. I'm not a fan of showy misspellings. I want to be just Lil, with the apostrophe, but then Snacks spelled correctly.
Trot misspellings. All right, Seth. Thanks a lot for coming on, man. Hopefully we'll have you on later in the year, and I'm sure people will be thinking and talking about the Knicks.
I hope so. Thanks, guys.
Take it easy, man. All right, you can find Seth on the Twitter webs at Seth_Rosenthal and then Posting and Toasting. All right, we ran a little long with him because he speaks slowly and has interesting things to say. So let's just jump right to our dagger smash noted. I've got the dagger, and my dagger is big men shooting threes in the preseason. Like it from Chris Bosh. Like it from Serge Ibaka. In both cases, this could be a really awesome, where all 5 players can shoot threes. It opens it up for these dramatic drives that are so fun to watch. Do not like it, but kind of like it, from DeMarcus Cousins. That's my dagger.
I actually think Cousins might be a better shooter than Ibaka. I'm not sure. My smash
on that team.
My smash, and it sounds self-considering. It sounds, but I was very excited to see Chuck Klosterman, of all people, tweet out my story today. He has no idea who I am. It didn't have my name in it, but I got excited about that. One of the reasons I got excited about it is because then Beckley's imitation of Chuck Klosterman, Beckley's Chuck Klosterman, his Chuck Klosterman imitation popped up in my head. And it's really just his imitation of Henry Abbott, so it's really both. He has a Henry Abbott, Chuck Klosterman imitation, and in fact, Beckley, I'm just wondering, can I put you on the spot? Can we hear a little sample?
All right, I'll try. So I found this
he loves it.
article today. It came to me sort of like out of nowhere. There's this Ethan Sherwood-Strauss guy who's just like someone in the internet, and I always wonder, like, who are these guys, and like, how cool is it that these days we can just find them? And so anyway, I'm watching it, and I just seen Paranormal Activity. Have you seen that movie? Anyway, so it's about ghosts and about, catching things on camera we can't normally see. And I just wondered, isn't that sort of an athletic ghost? Isn't this sort of what haunts us, is the memories that we can't seem to shake? And maybe they don't even matter. I mean, this guy didn't change anything. But, like, to me, that's really like a spectral presence, and it was just a really powerful story. All right, there's my try at Chuck Klosterman.
Slash Henry Abbott.
It's weird that's what's going to get Beckley fired from ESPN someday. That's...
I would love for this to be Henry's weak spot. I would love for this to be the moment Henry shows himself.
Different Henry impersonation. That was just...
Oh, really? Give me a sample of it. I want to know how it's different.
It's similar. I can't switch back and forth. Another time.
Oh, it's too similar.
If you have Henry on, I'll interview him as Henry.
I guess I have the noted. I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that. I have two notes. One, got an email during the show that NBA PR is now following me on Twitter, which can only mean that I said something offensive on a podcast recently. And
my old employers.
And I'm gonna get in trouble for that. And then Myers Leonard. I love me some Myers Leonard. I don't know if he's gonna be any good. I think he'll be all right. But that guy is a jerk. Like, that guy is a Blake Griffin persona where he's going to make a play, he's going to preen, he's going to puff his chest out, he's going to really just be kind of loathsome to any team and any fan base going against him. And it makes me love him a lot because I just want to see him fire up the crowd every night. And so I'm excited for the Myers Leonard spectacle that will be this season. I can't wait for him and Blake to...
Excellent.
It's just another thing for people to hate, and that causes me great joy.
We need more hate in the world.
Excellent show, gentlemen. Congratulations again to Ethan on a big internet day with Mr. Chuck Klosterman himself paying attention. Thank you to James for producing, Seth Rosenthal for hanging out, and of course everyone who watched and tweeted and commented. Roger Bain, take us out.
I taught my bird to whistle like a referee. I can make a free throw when I'm down on one knee. I've been a fan of basketball since I was 5. Now I am a fan of HoopSpeak Live. Hilarious analysis of mystifying trope. An angel with a cudgel breaking bubbles of soap. Like honeybees buzzing around a hive. Everybody buzzing about HoopSpeak Live.